Lord Jesus, at this moment I want to ask you that you make my words your words. Don't let me speak for myself, Lord, but only what you put in my mouth. And I pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Have you noticed that everywhere, almost everywhere you go, we have certain requirements that we need to fulfill in order to be part of? If you go to a club, you have some requirements to be part of that club, to be a member of that club. If you go to work in a company, you have some requirements to work in that company. If you go to any facility, even if you stay in a hotel, you have some requirements to stay in that hotel. You cannot, like 11 o'clock at night, decide to throw a party in a hotel with loud music and everybody screaming. They're going to kick you out. There are some requirements, some rules that you have to follow. The church, you have some requirements. You have some requirements to be in the church too. If people notice, come to the church and start disturbing each other, you're going to be requested to leave. How about to be a Christian? Do we have a requirement to be a Christian? There is a requirement, and Jesus told us about that requirement. He was very, very serious about that requirement. And Jesus said that requirement is essential for us to be called a true Christian or a true disciple of Jesus. Without that requirement, we can't be a Christian. We may call ourselves as Christians, but we're never going to be a Christian. And when Jesus was talking about that with the disciples, he told them to love one another as he loved them. To love one another as I love you. You know how hard that is? Love one another how I love you. The world today doesn't know that kind of love. What is the definition of love in the first place? I was looking up in a dictionary to see the definition of love, and I found this definition: the unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another. That is a good definition, isn't it? But not all unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern of another is a love that Jesus loved us. Because the love that Jesus taught the disciples to have was the unconditional love. And the description on the dictionary doesn't give us that. It doesn't give that description of unconditional. Unconditional love, it's very hard to find. Because the world today knows love as I love you because you love me. If you stop loving me, eventually I'm going to stop loving you. Oh, I love you because you're nice to me. You don't bother me. You're very polite. You invite me to dinner sometimes. We lunch together. We go for a walk together. We are a good company, so I love you. The moment that we start noticing that you're bothering me or something is not going well, and it's like, hey, I'm going to stay away from that person. Well, I don't like to be with that person anymore. I don't love that person anymore. That's the love that the world knows today. That's the love that we know. That's the love. That's not the love that Jesus taught the disciples to love. Love one another when Jesus said, love one another just like I have loved you. And I want to invite you to open your Bibles in the book of Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5, on verse 44. Jesus was talking about that, and he was very emphatic when he talked about that. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 44 and 45. It says, But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. He doesn't say love the ones who loves you. No, he said love, pray for your enemies. Love your enemies and pray for the ones who persecute you. Verse 45, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. You see, that's the only way we can be children of our Father in heaven, if we love our enemies and if we pray for those who persecute us, so we can be called true Christians, true disciples of Jesus. And he goes on here saying, for he makes his sun rise on evil and good, and sends rain on the righteous and unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do even the tax collectors do the same? Said people out there in the world, they do that too. What difference do you have from them? Nothing. You don't have any difference from them. You have to love those who are annoying to you, Jesus is saying. Love those who bother you, your neighbor that is annoying. That 7 o'clock in the morning, he is around his house with the lawnmower making noise to wake you up. That's the one that you have to love. And the ones who persecute you. That brother and sister in the church that becomes so annoying, those are the ones that you have to love. Because if you love just the ones that invite you to dinner, those that invite you to go for a walk, those that are very nice to you, what reward do you have? And the problem is, friends, that many times we think that we are better than anybody else. We are better than the brother that sits across the pew with us. We are better than the sister that comes late to church. We are better than the ones that don't come to church every Sabbath. And we feel that we are better because we come to church every Sabbath, that we eat better, we eat healthier. We are better because we serve here in the church and we feel that we are better than anybody else. And the disciples had that problem. When Jesus was telling them, one of the disciples had a big problem on that situation. And his name is Peter. I don't know if you remember the occasion when Jesus was about to be arrested. Jesus said to the disciples, all of you are going to abandon me, are going to scatter. And Peter said, Lord, I will never do that. I am better than this. I'll never do that. I'm going with you into death, but I will never leave you. And we know what happened. He denied Jesus 3 times. And Jesus told him he was going to deny him. Lord, I will never deny you, Lord. And then later on, after the resurrection, Jesus was right there on the beach, loving Jesus, calling them, hey, come, I cooked you some breakfast. And I want you ask you to turn your page to the book of John chapter 21. I want to read together with you. John chapter 21. They had breakfast together. Jesus cooked breakfast to them. And after breakfast, on verse 15 here, chapter 21, verse 15, it says, when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than this? You know, Peter, I looked at you and I see that you feel that you're better than everybody else here. Now let me ask you, do you love me more than they do? And Peter didn't give much importance to the question of Jesus. Seems like he overheard the question of Jesus. And he just like, yeah, Lord, you know, I love you. You're my friend, you know. I've been with you, walking around with you for 3.5 years. Of course I love you. You not satisfied with his answers. Jesus said, that's not the answer I'm looking for. You don't even pay attention, Peter. Peter, look at me. Pay attention to what I'm asking you. And Jesus looked at him again and said, Peter, do you love me? And Peter, Lord, of course I love you. Come on. I love you. Jesus was not convinced. He was not convinced that Peter really loved him. Because in his heart, Peter still thought that he was better than everybody else. In his heart, Peter still thought that he loved Jesus more than others. And now Jesus asked for the third time. In verse 17, he said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And Peter felt hurt. And he said to him, why? Because Jesus asked him for the third time, do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. Sometimes, friends, that's exactly what we do. The world out there, love for them, it's so simple. It's nothing deep. They love today, they hate tomorrow. And that's the reason, friends, we don't have unconditional love anymore in the world. And that's the reason marriage is falling apart. Families are falling apart. Because they don't love unconditionally. They love while they are being loved. If they reach their moment, they're no longer loved. And then they stop loving. Some people think that they love, but when things get tough, they don't. They really don't. That love is superficial. Every day you hear people say, hey, I love you. When things start getting tough, they really need to show that love, to work together. Put the difference aside. There is no love. It's all gone. They fall apart. Some people think that they don't love and they don't love enough, and when things get tough, and then that's when they stand on the side. And they don't leave that person's side, and they help, and they do whatever they can. That is unconditional love. And you always know those who really love and those who don't. When things start getting harder. And then, of course, there are those that don't love. They know they don't love, and they don't care. The third occasion, it was a convention of vendors in Chicago. And three friends had gone to that convention. And the convention lasted a little longer than they expected. And they have to leave in such a hurry to catch the flight back home. And all three friends running throughout the airport to get to the gate, to the boarding gate. And one of them, by accident, he ended up hitting a table with apples. He's spreading them all over the floor. And they continue running, but one of them stopped and looked back. When he looked back, he saw a girl trying to pick up the apples from the floor and put them back on the table. And he was compelled to go back and help her. As he got close to her, and he started helping her, and he said, everything's going to be okay. I'll help you to pick up the apples. And he started picking up the apples. And he put two piles separated. One of bruised apples, and another one with good apples. And he helped her to pick up all the apples that was on the floor. And after he's done that, he said, now everything is all set. Here I have to go. I have to catch the next flight. As he was leaving, the girl said, hey, mister. And he said, yes. He turned back. And she said, are you Jesus? And he noticed that she has tears in her eyes. And when he was picking up the apples with her, he also noticed that she was blind. And that question, "Are you Jesus?" went so deep in his heart that made him stop and think for a minute. And he looked at her and he said, "No, I am not Jesus, but I am his father." That young man got into the next flight. And that question kept hammering in his mind. Are you Jesus? Only by loving others unconditionally, only by loving others the way Jesus loves us is the way that people are going to recognize that we have been with Jesus. That we are true Christians, that we are true disciples of Jesus, that we are his followers. Let's turn our page in the book of John, chapter 13. John chapter 13. On verse 34 and 35, it says this: "I give you a new commandment, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. By everyone you will know that you are my disciples if you have loved one another." You're only going to tell other people that you are Jesus' disciples, that you are a Christian, if you love one another. "But Pastor, I am Seventh-day Adventist. I am a member of this church. I come here every Sabbath." Friends, being a member of the church does not make us a Christian. Coming here every Sabbath does not make us a Christian. What makes us a Christian is showing that we love one another. And it's unbelievable how we are able to treat strangers out there sometimes much, much better, with more kindness than we treat our family members or the members of our church. Children that we don't know, children that we never seen before in our life, we treat them with respect, with care. But when it comes to our own children, sometimes we don't have patience, we don't have kindness, we just blow it up. At this moment, I would like to invite you to stop for a minute and think about your life. How are you loving? I put the title of this message this morning, is not in the bulletin, True Christian Disciples Part 1. Because there is a Part 2, and I would like to share that with you next time I come here. I would like to ask you to stop for a minute and think about your life. How you act here in the church, words that you speak, things that you think about your brothers and sisters, about the children, about each other. How you act at home, things that you do at home, at work, how you act at work. And if you see that though you love others as Jesus loves, but you don't really do. You thought that you love others as Jesus do, but you don't really do. I want to invite you to ask Jesus to come and change that in your life, because he's the only one who can do that. I can't do that. You can't do that to yourself. Only Jesus can change that in your life. Only Jesus can look into your eyes and can say, "Do you love me more than this?" And only us can have to make that decision and look at Jesus. "Lord, you know everything." Only by us surrender completely to Jesus. And to Jesus, I know I haven't loved much my children as I should. I haven't loved my brothers and sisters as I should. I know I haven't loved much my family like I should. They're annoying, and I know that, Lord, but I want to ask you that you help me to love them as I should, like you love me. It's a great interest, friends, that we become a true Christian, that we become a true disciple of Jesus. This is a requirement that Jesus gave us to be called a true Christian, to be called a true disciple. Otherwise, we're just coming here and wasting our time. Paul says in Corinthians chapter 13, it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't have love, it's nothing. That's the part of the second part of this sermon, this message. This morning, I want to ask you the same question that Jesus asked Peter on that morning. Do you love me more than this? Jesus is asking that question to you every single day. Do you love me? Because if you really love Jesus with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your understanding, you will love others as Jesus loved them. Because Jesus will put